Welcome everybody. How are we going today? Welcome to Tasty Tuesdays. I'm Lorene Hughes. I'm your happy little host. And today we have Balaji, otherwise known as Matthew Kuhn. He is, as you can see by the beautiful banner behind him, Sound of the Kuhn. But he is so much more than just a sound healer. So he's got some really fascinating and interesting stories to share with us today, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more. So Balaji, would you like to just let us know a little bit about yourself, and I'll get over it and do some sharing while you do that.
Cool. Hi, Balaji. I call myself a sacred musician and sound healer because I work with basically sound vibration. But obviously, there's much more than that. I have a few other qualifications. But basically, I try not to hang on labels and stuff. I did it in the early days when I started, doing Reiki, and I got this certificate and that certificate. But over the years, I've learned that I took what I needed out of each modality and intuitively made it mine. So I work with energy basically, Reiki, Seisham, and what I channel through, which comes from many different levels and areas. I don't ever pretend to understand it all, but I just know when I am doing healing work, what I feel and the feedback I get from my clients to actually understand and know it's just bloody awesome. Yeah.
That's because you're awesome.
we may be a bit biased there, but with the sound healing. So I started off with the Native American stuff. So the first time I heard a hand or medicine drum being played, it was just like, wow, what was that sound? I guess that stemmed a bit from me in my earlier days trying to be a rock and roll star drummer in the good old days. But there it was, at that stage I had done my Reiki 1 and 2. I think I might have done my Reiki Masters and I'd done Advanced Seisham. But the first time I heard the Native American hand drum, wow, it literally changed my life. It was one of those light bulb moments. Yeah. And it's been continuing on from there. And again, as I've learned and grown, it's just gotten stronger. And then I've learned to encompass my voice. And then through doing different things, I've learned how powerful my breath is and using that in healing. Can I expand on that a little bit or leave that for later? Or unless you want to throw something else at me. So... And because I like to tell this because I think it's so very important. So two things with our voice and breath. So one, whether you're into it, doesn't matter. But I was doing. Sorry, I'll go back to the voice. So with the voice, it's just so empowering for people to use their own voice. So what I like to teach people in workshops and just talking to people anywhere at any time is to use their voice, to speak up, to sing, even if it's singing in the shower. Our voice is so very important. And when I do workshops, we always have a sacred circle. And the importance of a sacred circle is there's no beginning, there's no end. And whoever's speaking, we honour them by listening. And again, that is very powerful to be heard. And I've seen amazing results from people at the start of workshops, and even when after knowing them for a little while, who very timid and quiet, and they're all introverted or whatever, and just to see them come out of themselves and shine is truly a blessing for me as a person, as a healer, as a teacher, just as trying to be a good human being. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And with the breath, so I was doing a sacred ceremony. I won't mention the substance. I think that's why I went blank, because it's not by the system. But it just takes you into other places, other dimensions. And Mother, during the ceremony, as touch Mother Earth, she showed me how powerful my breath was, and even to the extent that when I was being shown in this altered state, it was like I was breathing out this black sludge energy, and even got to the stage where I was literally actually pulling it out with my hands as well. But because I'm an empath, so what was happening was when I was doing healing work on people, and even just being around people, was I was taking on their stuff, their crap, their dark energy, hucha. There's many terms you can use for it. And I'd find myself after doing healing work, and then I'd be all like really snappy and angry and stuff until I had a really amazing experience. And then through this ceremony, it was shown how, for me, to cleanse and to release that through my breath. So I can't emphasize that enough. And I'll talk it ad nauseum to anyone who wants to listen about using their breath, and not just in meditation and breathing cycles, but just to release, do that. Powerful stuff. That's cool.
I agree. And having received some of your amazing healing work myself, it's incredible what you're actually able to achieve with the skills that you already have. And I know that as an energy worker and an energy healer, we are always choosing to grow, shift, change, and expand upon the skills and tools that we already have and develop them further, and to, accentuate what we already have as well. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing, this is how far you've come in your journey so far. I'm looking forward to seeing where you go for the future as well, because you're already very potent at what you do. So it's just to give the audience a little bit of an idea. I do renovation work. And there was one particular time I had smacked my knee quite hard, and I had sort of put up with it for about a week and a half, but it was tight. It was a little bit swollen. But nothing you could really see. It was all internal. And Matthew had me up on the table. He was doing some healing work, and he used various pieces of his tools. He used the feather, smudging feather, is that what you call it? The feather wand?
My eagle feather wand.
Yeah, your eagle feather wand. He used the drum. He used, what else did you use that day? The chimes.
The chakra chimes.
The chakra chimes. But more so than anything else was he actually just used his voice. And I'm sure there was a bit of Reiki in there. And goodness knows what else.
Just a smidge.
And there was just, other worldly magical stuff, energetic work that Matthew was using. And within that, he was able to become aware of a lifetime where my leg had been amputated. So he was fixing all that for me too, which was beautiful. The next day I went off to, the next day I went back into my renovation work, and absolutely no pain, no tension, no tightness, there was nothing. I was getting up into really awkward spots with the ladder and having to twist my leg in a really interesting way to get up. And there was nothing there. There was just nothing there to show that I had had any injury there before. And that was after one session with Matthew. And I'm just whoa, this is fucking amazing. So for those of you that don't know, Balaji is his spiritual given name. Matthew is his other name. This is his human name. So I'll interchange between Matthew and Balaji as we continue on today. Hi, Grandmaster Uv. Cheers from the East Coast. Love it. Hi, Sonia Kelly. Hi. Thank you for joining us. So Matthew Balaji is fucking incredible as a healer, and he holds space in such an incredible way. And I feel very privileged and lucky to have him in my world. So very, very much. So we've sort of started on your spiritual journey, a little bit that question there. But would you like to go into a tiny touch more around maybe a little bit at the, not quite the beginning, but a little bit further on, when it was like that big impact of going, oh fuck, I have to do this. This is going to be my life. This is going to be my new path. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Obviously I started off doing Reiki and Seishem and did my Reiki masters, and I guess in those early stages, I thought I was going to be a Reiki, just be a Reiki practitioner and start my own business up. And it just didn't eventuate. I understand why now, but so more to clarify your point was the big impact for me later on down the track was when I did the Manaki, which is the 9 healing rites of the Incan shaman, which is its own healing modality and its own. Alberto Villoldo brought it back to the West after spending 21 years studying with the shamans up and down the Amazon. But I don't do that healing. I don't do that healing modality. But again, like I was saying earlier, all the things I've done, all the places, India, America, Spain, all the different places I've traveled to, living with the Hare Krishnas for 10 months, I just took on what I needed to take on. But the Manaki was life-changing for me because I was already doing drumming and everything, but it was the first time I'd ever heard the Native American flute played, and that just blew me away. But it was a connection. It's what I learnt through the connection, how we're all connected. We connected through Mother Earth. So we're connected to the stone people, the tree people, the 2-legged, the 4-legged, the many-legged, the fin, the third-wing ones, all our relations. And how we're all connected through spirit. But it was that connection through Mother Earth that just changed the way I thought about my life, the way I lived my life, the way I was doing my life. And that's when I knew. And it took me a little while because there was so much, don't want to sound negative, but there was a lot of egotistic stuff going on in the spiritual world. Still is, but so I tried not to put labels. But what I was doing and what I learned from the Manaki was shamanic healing. And that just basically means, with Mother Earth, the drumming, the flute, all that stuff that comes from Mother Earth naturally. And that's why I was so tied into the Native American way of doing things in the early stages, and why it's had such a big impact. And the people that I learned from so the people that I made my drums with, and learnt about the Native American culture had actually been to the United States and lived and been invited to sacred native lands, and learnt from the Native American people themselves. So I felt very blessed and honoured, and even learning how to make my own medicine drums, rattles and things like that. And I really honoured that, and hence in the early days I was White Feather, and there's a story how I got the name White Feather, not through any Native American or ceremony like that. It was one of those aha moments through another person, but it wasn't something that just come into my head. But that was really life-changing for me, and the connection to Mother Earth. Again, I'll go back to the early days. It was such a strong influence on me was the Native American culture and how they had the utmost respect for everything. Even when they killed an animal to live, they honoured it. They said prayers to it, and nothing was wasted. They used everything, and their philosophy, and living with the earth and doing as little harm and damage as possible. And then again, over the years, but that was the big thing, was the Manaki, and that was very powerful, so powerful. And then in 2010. In 2014, I went to India, and that's when I received my spiritual name Balaji. And but the energy where I was in the temples where I was staying at and going to ceremonies in the temples every day was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing. In the first couple of days, so I worked with Shanti Mission Australia, and so every morning at 6 o'clock we started off with satsang and different stuff. In the first couple of days, I was getting these thumping headaches and blurred vision. And I said to my, because each we were in all little groups, and the lady that was in charge of my group, great teacher, the name exudes me at the moment. She said, "You're not grounded," and that's when I released other about grounding as well. But the energy was so intense, and because I wasn't grounded, that's why I was getting these headaches and the double vision. So she got one of the other elder disciples of Shakti Durga, and he took me away for 5 minutes and took me through some breathing exercises and visuals and how to ground myself. And it was really cool after that. So that was very powerful for me. And when I received my name Balaji, and I learned a bit about the lineage of it. So Balaji is in the lineage of Krishna and Vishnu. I think that's why later on down the track I was so attracted to the Hare Krishnas, and lived with them for 10 months. One, I was feeling out the possibility if I was going to become a devotee, but I was just so attracted to them. Because when you see Hare Krishnas in the street doing Harinam, that's when they're singing and dancing. And that's what it's like in the temple. They're so passionate for Krishna, and their love for Krishna was just mind-blowing and for me, and I just loved it. And the hours and hours I spent doing kirtan and dancing in the temple during the ceremonies and stuff was just really cool. It was later on in the stage that I realised it wasn't for me. And again, I come back to over the 18 years that I've been doing spiritual work, that I'd learnt to all these different things like going to India, Hare Krishnas, everything that I've done, just to take what I felt right for me and encompass that. And that's how I've grown as a healer and what I do. So like I said, so I don't focus on Reiki, I don't focus on this, I don't focus on any one modality. I just be an open channel. Yeah. Ask me another question. Otherwise, I'll go on for about another 20 minutes.
Well, I think this actually just blends in really nicely with the next question of like, what does consciousness mean to you?
So consciousness for me, from what I've learnt and what I believe, I put it into two categories. We have group consciousness. So there's, you have different spiritual layers and things. So we have a group consciousness layer that circles the world. Again, I just know it's there. I don't fully understand what it looks like or how it works. But every single human on this planet, when we have a thought, boom, it goes into this group consciousness. So I guess it could be memory, would be one way of putting it. And it's like for our individual consciousness, we put that out into our aura. So when we have a thought, we speak. Our thoughts puts things in our aura. So if we're thinking, so still on the same of what is consciousness. So again, when I say memory, it stays there. It's held in there. So it's not necessarily a memory technically, but that it stays in there. So, and this is a very, very important part that I would like to explain. So with personal consciousness, when we have a thought, we speak, whatever, and we put that into our aura. So if it's negative, it goes as like a dark spot into our aura. And I think I use this on Brooks, but I'll use the same analogy because it's a good one. So if you know someone, or you are someone, and if you do, love and blessings and healing for you, that speaks negatively all the time, they can't see or speak positively about anything, whether it's be driving in traffic, the dude walking past them down the street. So every time they speak negatively or have a conscious thought negatively, they put that dark spot out there. And if you're constantly doing it, it builds up. And through the Manaki, I call it hucha, or dark energy. So that hucha builds up, and becomes very dense and heavy. And eventually, if it's not cleared, you will manifest a physical illness. So again, with the throat chakra, laryngitis, throat cancer as an extreme example, or tonsillitis, you'll be constantly having throat problems. So what I do as a healer is clear that out your aura. That's one aspect of what I do. And that's why I felt that was a good question about consciousness, because it led on to that, and that's very pertinent for what I do. Is It's clearing that out of people's auras. And if people aren't aware, we carry past lives into our auras. So unless the stuff's cleared, you could be carrying crap in your aura from 20, 30, 100,000 lifetimes ago, which could mean you have problems in this lifetime. Like I'll just go back to when I was doing healing on Lorene. Was while I was doing the healing and other things that were going on, that's when I had the vision of the past life where her leg, it was amputated, but ugly. It was like mutated, not mutated. It was uglily ripped off. However, I don't know how it was done, but I just saw her leg. Yeah. So I cleared that past life. And I do believe, and from the feedback that Lorene just gave before, how the pain that went away, I do believe that it's more to do with that past life than you whatever you did at work. I do believe that. And that's how important it is to clear this stuff from our auras. And again, that's my truth. That's my belief. Pause. So if, as I say to anyone I work with, talk to, do workshops with, don't take what I say as gospel or truth. If it feels right for you, if it resonates with you, that's fine. And if something's not, go away, meditate on it. Meditate on what I said or what was said. And, for anything in life. And that's taught me a lot as well. Now, with group consciousness, so you can imagine when people are stuck in front of their TVs with mainstream media, being bombarded, advertising, just everything that's going on in the world at the moment. The news, oh God, my mum watches the early news, the 6 o'clock news, and sometimes she'll go and watch the late edition news. And it's like, Mum. And I try to explain to her, God bless her, she's 81, but I try to explain to her, just being stuck and looking at that all the time is going into her subconscious, and therefore it's going out into the group consciousness. So the more people that can...
She gets the newspaper as well, just because she hasn't got enough news yet.
God, no. I like it. God bless her, I never had a close relationship with my parents when on my younger days, and then I moved out of home at 15, and so I'm just establishing I've established a relationship with my mother as a fellow human being, not so much necessarily as my mother, but one thing I've just learned, I just bless her. I send her love and blessings, and I understand she's 81. She's done well to be where she is, I suppose. And so with the group consciousness, so what I was going to say was, so the more people, and this is my core belief of my business, Sound of the Kuhn, business, is the more people we can help to change their lives for the better, will change that group consciousness. And you can imagine, we go back through the 20-odd thousand years we've had of the masculine energy, the church and all the negativity. We'll cancel delete church out of the broadcast. We won't go into that side of things. But just the negativity, the dark ages, the male-dominated, where females were just abused for thousands of years, and back in the days, the healers were burnt as witches, tortured just because they were awesome. But because of the ignorance and because of the male-dominated masculinity, which nothing wrong with that, imbalance, but obviously it's been out of balance. Horrible things. Yeah. So the more we can grow our light and change that consciousness, the light of energy, and it just helps the Mother Earth. It helps every single being on the planet. Hopefully that made sense.
Yes,
Cool.
made sense to me.
I'll just say one thing to the people watching. I did a very powerful healing today, and I'm still a little bit out there. So
he's still rolling on the good vibes, man. Just wanted to say a quick hello to Stuffy, because he's popped in there to say hi. He wants to know that we're drinking our coffee. I know Balaji's drinking his coffee, and I've got tea. Drinking a nice rose hip and what did I say? I can't remember. It's a rose hip tea.
and Grandmaster UV's on the east coast of the US. I don't think.
Oh, right.
So, cheers to our brothers and sisters in the US.
Yeah, For sure. You
And
guys are
Canada,
going through pretty interesting times at the minute. Got lots of things that are unraveling and reforming and doing all sorts of very, very interesting, weird, wonderful things happening over there at the minute.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good thing.
And I have some beautiful friends in the United States and Canada. People I've met walking the Caminos in Spain, doing my pilgrimages, of just beautiful people. So I have a big heart for all on Mother Earth, but especially the US and Canada and what's been happening over there. I mean, we've had it, not so nice here either. So thanks to the powers to be, our leaders.
Starfy, you just have to do what Balaji says: cancel, clear, and delete that thought.
And just to even things up, Starfy, I have my Bengal spice tea in this pot. and my Kangen 9.5 water in this glass. Thanks to the lovely Lorene.
We're on the Kangen at the moment.
Cleansing and healing.
Cleansing and healing.
Right, what's next, boss?
All right, so my next tasty little question is, and this is actually kind of a hard one, I think, but at the same time, we'll try and make it tasty.
Yeah.
What is your most tasty lesson that you've learned so far in your spiritual journey?
Right. Bluntly, don't take on board other people's crap.
Say more.
All right. There is a story attached to this. Many years ago, when I was very excited, well, I still am, but in the early days, I was gung-ho and about Reiki and healing and stuff. And this person said to me one day, said, well, it's not you. It's not your energy. You're not doing the healing. And I took that on board. And that actually affected me for a little while. I'm not talking years, but certainly, maybe at least 12 to 18 months, that affected me in the way I thought about doing healing work. And then that's when
Can you just explain, how did it affect you? Like, how did that point of view affect you in your healing work? What did it do?
Well, it sort of rocked me on my foundations, like my self-confidence a little bit, but I started then doubting who I was as a person, as a healer, and thinking, oh God, got to get out of my head. My ego's out of control. I'm thinking this and that. So that's how it affected me for quite a while. And then I had the realization breakthrough that was a load of crap, because as a channel, and this goes for anyone, that healing work, channels energy, whatever, the more we work on ourselves, we clear our shadow side, we clear the crap out of our bodies. So physically, spiritually, the more we grow our light, and that works on all levels. So physically, eating cleaner food, the way we think about ourselves and the world. So cleaning up our thoughts, our beliefs, the way we eat, the way we act, the way we speak, the whole genre. So the more we clean this up, our vibration gets higher, our light gets a little bit shinier. And as we do this, and our chakras are booming, we can channel more energy, more powerful energy, more healing. So the way I say what that person said to me was a load of crap, because it is us. Yes, we might be channeling universal light or Reiki, energies from other dimensions, Christ consciousness, Christ light, whatever. But the more we grow ourselves and open ourselves, the more we can bring in. So we go from, starting off, this much. And as we grow, our channel widens, so we can bring in more light, more light, more light, more light. So we become more powerful in what we do and who we are. And that's why I say no to taking on other people's bullshit. Because, and as someone who was a people pleaser, I was a chronic people pleaser, because I didn't have the confidence in myself. So I sought other people for their approval to please me. And it's not. We've got to it's got to come from in here. Of course, we can take guidance from people who have grown, who are higher than we are, as in not better, but have, I won't say better, but have done the work longer or better or whatever. So their energy, their light is bigger than ours. You know, like Stuffy, I've only known Stuffy a very short time, and you know, in the in one really good conversation that I've had with Stuffy and Brooke was like, wow, it was really blowing my mind and getting me excited about life again. And because admittedly, the last couple of years with COVID and all the negativity and society just going bang, bang, bang on us, it really started to wear me down. But now I'm excited. I'm back into the groove. I'm doing the work. And like I said today, the healing I did today, as I said, I won't mention names, but the person I did the healing on today, I said, wow, that blew me away, because that was just the energy. Again, because I've been doing the work on myself, so I can bring in that stronger energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, absolutely. Yeah, and the thing is with not taking on what anyone else says to you, especially if it's negative, because it's their stuff. And depending on that person, that attitude can change from here to here. You know, can change within a minute, 5 minutes, whatever, depending on where they are at the time. And I know this myself. You know, if I've been a bit tired or a bit down, and trust me, the negative stuff can come in. But I've learned now, as soon as I get to that stage where the negative stuff's coming in, I cancel, clear, delete, and learning pot and pot. And so just to count, but then I'll say positive stuff to counteract that, to put some energy and love and light. You know, like I used to be driving in traffic used to send me bonkers. I'd come out from driving in the city and I'd be angry. I'd be wanting to road rage and hurt people, because I was taking on, as the empath and not learning how to deal with it, I was taking on all that negativity. You know, rush hour traffic. People are so impatient. They're angry. They want to get home and kick the dog or something. It's like, whoa. And now I learnt to so I drive in my van, my beautiful 1984 Toyota Hiace, which allows me to carry all my instruments around with me. And but I just do it. Ease with joy, ease and grace. Joy, ease and grace. And I even chant that as a mantra when I'm driving. And I come out the other end and I'm going, hallelujah, praise Krishna, Jesus, whoever you want to talk to. So I am still floating. I am still floating a little bit from the healing clouds.
You are, and I love that. It reminds me of there's one of the mantras that we say in Access Consciousness of all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. So it's very similar to what you say. And there was a challenge that I had to do, I chose to do for 10 days, saying it 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night. And me being the lovely little overachiever that I am, I used to say it while I was driving as well. So I was saying it, I don't know, probably like 100 times a day at the end of the day, because I was driving a lot. And much like you, at the start of, because at that point I was living in around the sort of Ottaway area, and I was having to drive all the way down to past the airport down to like the racecourse kind of area, that Marion-ish type of area. Yeah. And it was always chockers full of traffic, and it just irritate me. I was having to travel down Tapley's Hill Road, and it was just like, because I'd be, hitting all of that sort of 8:30 traffic, and it was just so. Yeah. I started doing all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And also at this time I was going through some personal breakup stuff, so there was a lot of tension there in my world. And I would just say that over and over and over again. And after a little while, I noticed that my mood started to lift, and it wouldn't take long. It was just like I'd be all full of tension and angry and getting pissed off with people, cutting me off and being stupid on the road. And then it would be like, by the time I'd got past the airport, I was just like, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. It was all light and fluffy. And I was just like, wow. And then suddenly I started getting a lot of green lights. And then it was like, and then I'd start getting space around me. Like people weren't cutting me off all the time. And I was just like, this is weird. So then I'd try it the next day. And it happened again and again and again until I actually learned that skill of being the space of, or the energy of, that mantra, the ease and joy and glory. And it's like now when I drive, more often than not, I just expand out. I am the space of all of life coming to me with ease, joy, and glory most of the time. And then it's like I get across the traffic, no problems. I find that space, no problems. I get a lot of green lights. I get, it's a beautiful thing. And it really, truly is the energy that we're choosing to be. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Carly. Good to see that thing.
And it really, truly is that energy of the space that we're being, rather than, it's not even necessarily the thoughts, because the thoughts are kind of like the last part of the manifestation of the energy. That's how I feel about it anyway. Yeah, it's interesting, hey? How cool that we've both had that same sort of phrase in our worlds.
Well, I'll actually acknowledge you for the joy bit. I learned when I was doing stuff for Shanti Mission and learning the Hindu side of things and stuff, the way we do prayers and things like that, and to come to me with ease and grace. It was actually since I've met you that I just added that joy bit in, and I like it. I like it. Because someone who had a pretty joyless life for most of his life, I want lots of joy in my life. So
yeah. Me too. Okie dokie. So I would like to know if you could say anything to, say, a 20-year-old just sort of beginning their spiritual journey, besides don't take on other people's shit. What else would you tell them? Like, what sort of tips and hints would you give them?
For a 20-year-old just starting out in their spiritual life.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people in those early 20s that are awakening right now, that are like realizing the space that, oh fuck, we've been controlled all this time. Oh shit, what does that mean to me? Like, there's a lot of 20-year-olds that are now stepping out into the world for themselves, that are now having to cope with all these energies that have been protected from for a really long time.
This isn't an easy answer for me because there's so many aspects. One, I would tell them forgiveness. For someone who carried guilt, anger for himself and a lot of people that wronged him in the past, say forgiveness. I believe forgiveness is a higher vibration than love. So forgiving yourself, because we all, as the saying goes, good people do bad things, bad people do good things. So we're all going to have our moments, whatever, in our stage of life where we're going to do things that we're going to feel guilty about or whatever later on. So biggest thing is to forgive yourself. Let shit go. Let it go. Forgive yourself. And then forgive others. But I think you've got to forgive yourself first. It's like you've got to love yourself first before you can love others. So forgiveness for self, and understanding there is no right or wrongs, it's lessons. So forgiveness for self and then forgiveness of others. So you're not condoning someone else's actions or thoughts or beliefs, but it's not holding resentment, anger, hatred towards them. So by forgiving them, you're actually setting yourself free. It's not really for them. It's for you. If you can't forgive someone for something they've done, you're never going to be free, because you're always going to carry that with you. So forgiveness. Don't pause. So I had the other second one there. I'll keep going. So forgiveness. Don't believe anything. Don't believe anything you've been taught in school, anything you've seen or heard on TV, read in the newspapers, heard on the radio, especially from our governments. Just don't believe nothing they tell you, because they don't have your interests at heart. I'm not going to go into a big conspiracy theory or ramblings on about it, but that would certainly be something I would tell them. Forget everything you've learned, and then talk to them about going into the heart space. So important, especially starting off, getting into nature, learning to walk in the forest, sit under a tree, go stand in the ocean, even if you're not swimming, put your feet in the ocean. And I love doing that. And I love standing in the ocean and just soaking in the sun or whatever. I chant, I I do sorts of things because I've learned not to care what anyone else thinks about me. So, what's this wet job doing over there? But it doesn't matter. Be free to be you. A 20-year-old, man. So, yeah, that's young. And I can't even remember being 20. Sorry, yes, I can. I joined the army at 20. Forgiveness. Sorry, what did I just say?
Forget what you learned.
Yeah, forget what you've learned.
Hi, Amanda.
And just trust nothing. Trust nothing that comes out of mainstream media, even things like Facebook. Be very discerning. And this comes back to going into your heart space and learning to feel. Does it feel right to you or not? That's so important. And again, for a 20-year-old, I would ask them, what is your passion? What is your passion in life? I learned not long ago to do something because that's your passion, not to do it, and this will tie into something I'll speak about later, not to do it to make money or as a business, but do it because you're passionate about it, and the universe will take care of everything else for you. Well, not everything, but most of it. Just be passionate about what you do and do it to you. So your authenticity, your intuition, your guidance. And this all comes back to, and I thank Stuffy for this because he gave me a big reminder about opening up my heart chakra and getting back into my heart space. So blessings again, Stuffy. That's really just been really good for me for the last couple of weeks, and that because I realised actually how much I through other events in recent times that my heart I'd actually had closed and brought my heart chakra in as a way of protecting myself. So without that heart chakra expanded, I was very closed off. Not in a terrible way, but obviously the more we expand our heart chakra, more love and everything else that all flows along. Is there anything else for a 20-year-old? Don't drink alcohol. Someone who was a very heavy drinker for over 20 years. I don't know. I mean, there's so many things you could say, but I think in a nutshell, that's the most important things. Quiet time, learning to go within, meditate within that heart space. And again, however that takes form for that 20-year-old. As you know, with me, it's drumming. I'm not a traditional meditationalist. I can't sit there, I can't do the pose anyway, cross-legged and for an hour in silence. No. But I can do 20 minutes of drumming and I'm like, phew. And so for me, drumming's my meditation. But in saying that as well, gardening, doing dishes is meditation for me. Because you just get in that single mindset and all this other stuff goes away and you get having a shower's meditational for me. And I know you've heard some of these stories already from me, but I've had some big breakthroughs and big downloads while having a shower because I was just so relaxed and just, the world had drifted away. I was in such a relaxed state. It may not strictly be meditation, but boy, pretty good.
I love that you brought meditation into this conversation. Hi, Cindy. Walking and listening to music. Yeah, absolutely. And Amanda, hey. Hi, Amanda. What I've really come to learn is that there are so many points of views around what is appropriate meditation Yeah, fishing.
Sorry.
um, and what I've come to really, because I always used to have that thought of I couldn't possibly meditate. I'm terrible at meditating. I don't know how to meditate. Can't do meditation. And then I did a lot of work over like the 2020 from 2020 through to now around some other different tools and things. And one of the things that I realized with that is that meditation is purely the act of being present in the now.
Yeah.
So whatever method gives you that space to be present in the now and to the exclusion of everything else, and just be aware of energy, of your body moving, of your breath, the air that's around you, whether that means that you're fishing like Amanda, whether it means standing in the ocean like Balaji, whether it be you're listening to music like Cindy. For me, it's actually, particularly in the summertime here in my little place, it's watching the rainbows moving on the wall from my crystals. Yeah. To me, that's meditation.
Yeah.
Because you're being very, very focused. When you're in the shower, a lot of people get quite perfunctory in the shower. But if you actually do take that moment to stop and just be present and feel the water on your skin and breathe with it, water is an incredible conductor of energy. And it's one of the ways that our spirit team actually communicates, or our guides communicate with us, is through water. Because majority of us is water. Yeah. So when we're under the water, when we're in the water, when we're in the shower, when we're in a bath or the ocean or the rivers or streams or whatever, in a lake, it doesn't really matter. It's all water. Yeah. So we've got this immediate connection to those other realms coming through and over our body. And that's why drinking good water is very important too. So meditation, for all of those of you out there that are like going, I can't possibly meditate, can you do 1 minute of just being 1 minute present in your breath? Then yes, you can meditate. And you just start from 1 minute and then you build it up, 2, 4, and you just keep doubling it. And then after a period of time, you'll be sitting there for 15 minutes, no problems, in a position that's comfortable for you. And like, to me, that's so beautiful to be able to just take that space, because we often don't give ourselves a space. We'll stay distracted with other things. We'll stay distracted with social media or whatever,
Can I add a point to that?
Please do.
Meditation. So obviously I've been doing this a little while, but when I started off 18 odd years ago and tried to learn about meditation, it was, I think back in the days gone by, it was almost that feeling that meditation was being able to just block everything out, have nothing, absolute nothing. And that's, for me, is incorrect. And like you said, it's about having that focus on one thing. So you're blocking out all this other chatter and the monkey mind and everything else, and that focus. So I just think, that's what I felt in the early days, because I knew a guy who was a Buddhist, and that's what he was trying to tell me. I remember having actually a conversation with him a couple of years later, and he even said, that wasn't quite right. And so it's not about blocking anything out. And when I'm doing sound baths or meditations, when I always tell people, just no matter what's going on around you, if you get distracted, don't go, oh, fuck's sake, that person sneezed or she coughed or whatever. Just, I used to do it. Come back to your breath. Just come back to your breath and concentrate on your breath. A dog barks, a car toots by. Come back to your breath. Just come back to your breath. And when I'm drumming, come back to your breath and just come back to the drum. Just listen to the drum, my voice, whatever's going on, just open up to that. So if you do get distracted, again, come back to your breath, and whatever's going on, whether I'm drumming or whatever. Don't just go, yeah, oh God, someone sneezed, and I think that's very important. And with just a quick one, as you said, with water, so I'm a Scorpio, so I'm a water baby anyway. So ocean is my love. River's okay, it's relaxing, unless there's jet skis around and speedboat. But um, one of my favourite moments I can remember was years ago. I was with a couple of friends and we were down south. I can't remember, right down south. And we were in this little bay, Rapid Bay? I think it was Rapid Bay. And we were just out a little bit on the rocks. And I remember and it was so calm. It was dead calm. And I laid back and I was floating and my ears were below the waterline. It was just my face above. And I just remember, I said, total bliss. It was just total bliss. That was so cool.
Yeah. I remember that feeling of a similar feeling actually when I was in Hawaii, was in Maui, and I'd had to do some work on being in the ocean anyway because of some past life stuff like we were talking before.
Yeah.
There was some past life trauma where I had been a ship's captain and gone down with the ship and so been attacked. I think it was by whales or some such thing. I don't know. But anyway, the ship went down and I felt deeply responsible for the loss of the lives of my crew. And I vowed that I would never, ever do that or risk anybody's life ever again, including my own, in deep ocean water. And so that then created a space for me where I was very unsure of being in water that I couldn't touch the bottom, whether it be a pool or an ocean, it didn't matter. I always felt really like on edge. So I preferred to stay in water that was, up to chest height, and that was about it. I was fine with that. But in revealing that aspect, I was able to heal it, move it through, and that. So when I went to Maui, and it was like my last day, and there was a point where I was in this crystal clear water, and I was relaxed. My legs were actually bent at the knees, which was unusual for me because normally when I'd float flat, but no, my legs wanted to be bent. But I was laying back and I had my little face out and I was just so relaxed and so calm. And even there was just a very, very slight wave to the water. It wasn't like breaking or anything. And it was just so beautiful and so peaceful. And there was loads of people around and all that, but I didn't hear a single one of them. It was really beautiful. So I'd just like to go back to something that we were saying before about the meditation side of things. Another reason why people think that they can't meditate is that they have these thoughts, like you were saying, thoughts would just float through and then they get distracted and there's that. So when I said before to the exclusion of everything else, what I meant was to the exclusion of social media, the exclusion of all of those external things.
Yeah.
But it's very much the inclusion of everything that we be.
Yeah.
So it's like when those thoughts float through, there was a really awesome tool that I learned many, many years ago before even moving to Australia. So it would have been 2009. Yeah, I would have learned it in 2009. And it was basically about imagining that the thoughts when they go through are just like lines on the road, the white lines on the road. So they're there. You can see them going by, but you don't pay too much attention to them.
Yeah.
So it's like it's okay that they're there. You don't have to focus on them. You can pick them up later. But right now we're going to focus on this.
Yeah.
So we've got some really awesome stuff happening in the chat there. We've got Amanda saying that.
Sorry. I just before you do, sorry, Amanda, my apologies, because it's been in my head for about a minute now. Back to the advice for a 20-year-old was very potent advice that was given to me. And I would say to that person, you are doing the best you can at this given moment. and it's perfect as it is. You're doing the best you can at this given moment. That would be the last, probably not the last, but another bit of advice that I would give to a 20-year-old. So no matter what's going on in the world and where you're at, you're doing the best you can, and it is good enough. Because that's it. Sorry, Amanda.
She's just saying, no apologies required. Bless her, sweetheart. And actually, that just reminded me, when you were talking about forgive, that's actually something that I really love to bring into my healing sessions. The word forgive, I really love it because it's forgive. So it's actually a gift to forgive.
I've never heard it put like that before.
Yeah. So you're actually gifting to yourself and to the other person by choosing to forgive.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's just basically saying that it's really wonderful listening to different people's opinions around meditation, because then you can sort of pick out what actually works for you and what doesn't, which is lovely. And that's really helped her to feel empowered to choose what works for her. So Starthy, one is not to achieve silence, one is to acknowledge one is silence, and the opposite is that which is not silence. Exactly. It is everything and all. Yeah, for sure. And Amanda jumped back in that she was a swimmer in her young days, in her childhood. That being underwater was her refuge, stillness, silence, nothing but her heartbeat. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's cool, isn't it? Like, not that I've been in a swimming pool for years, but even being in a swimming pool and just going down to the bottom and sitting on the bottom at the deep end, and just, as long as I used to love that, as long as I could, because there was nothing else. Nothing else, you know. Yeah, pretty cool. Thanks, Amanda.
That's the pleasure and the challenge too, right? So there's the challenge of sitting at the bottom of the pool, and there's the pleasure of that, and that, like, it's a challenge to stay down there because suddenly you've got no access to air other than your own body.
Yeah.
So it's a real challenge, but the pleasure is actually being in that stillness, you know, and the challenge of actually remaining at the bottom, even though there'll be parts of you that are fighting to get up. And I think it's a really beautiful analogy for how our ego fights with the other aspects of us too. You know, it's our ego is fighting for us to stay safe. And it's the ego that's pushing us to get off the bottom of that fucking pool. You need to breathe now. It's like, yeah, no, I'm actually good. I'm good down here for a bit longer, another 10 seconds, and I'm actually okay. You know, I love that. I love this next question.
Uh-oh.
So, what top tip would you give to somebody who's just beginning their spiritual business journey? But given that you've been through many different renditions of both.
Top tip. Be authentic. Especially in these times now, those that are working from ego won't go the distance. That's what I'm feeling. Won't go the distance. So when I say be authentic, don't try and bullshit to make what you do sound better or different. And I've seen this a lot, especially years ago. Seemed to be a lot more prevalent. So maybe it is actually weeding out with the higher energies coming in. Was just the way some people would dress, or try and say my way's the only way, and take what someone else was teaching and then try and portray it as their own stuff. So that may be sounding a bit negative, but that still sort of all encompasses into be authentic, be you. I mean, good marketing and all that's fine, but don't try and do something falsely, because energy doesn't lie, and if you're doing it not authentically, it'll come back and bite you. And there was something else that I was coming through that I was going to add to that. Said marketing, all that's fine, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to work with others. This has been coming through to me for a couple of years now, quite strongly, but because of everything else that's happened, I sort of hid myself away. And but we need to come together. So if you're starting your business, connect with others, connect with other people. Don't be afraid that if I share something with them, that'll take away from me. Because in the end, the universe will send you the people that you need, which is a good lesson for me to remember. We have, especially for spiritual businesses, yes, we need to establish ourselves. It's good to get a good name and all that. And by being authentic, that'll happen. But also networking with other like-minded, especially if the others that you're drawn to. I'm not saying just go to any spiritual business and go, hey, would you like to do this with me, or blah, blah, blah. Just network. And again, authentically, so you'll know which ones will feel right and who's not. And that's saved my bacon a few times over the years. Not saying that there was anything wrong with that person or their business. It just wasn't the energy for me. And so by learning to go within and how does this feel to me? Nah. Again, nothing against that person, but it wasn't right for me. It wasn't my truth, my energy. I think that's pretty important. But just don't be afraid to it. Look, we're in an infinitely abundant world. There really is no lack of. We all come for different lessons, and we're all going to have money issues. I had a lot of lack of to work through with my upbringing, my childhood, and my parents. God bless them. Sorry, I got a bit sidetracked then.
No, it's perfect. It's funny because you remember how back at the start of our show tonight, I said, not so much right near the beginning, but a little bit of a jump further through. What really got you going? Well, here's why that happened, because Amanda's just asked what pushed you into your spiritual path. There's a reason why I couldn't talk about that at the beginning. Because she wants to know what really set you off onto that path.
Pain. Specifically, because back in those days when this is before, so what started me on my spiritual path, before I'd done Reiki, was I used to be trying to be a rock and roll drummer, kit drummer, and I used to jam a lot of guys, and I just love the drums. I love making noise. And I woke up literally screaming, God knows what hour of this morning. And all I can remember from that morning, still very clearly, was yanking at my shoulder. So the tendon had gone in my shoulder, and I ended up having like a week off work, and then I was on light duties. It was really bad. And so through this injury, and again, I have no doubt they obviously played a part with it upstairs. My brother, who I'd been thinking very badly of, because he kept trying to tell me about Reiki, and I kept going, what the fuck are you on about? And other things. I thought very badly of him there for a while, but that's where I was. And he convinced me to go and have a Reiki healing session. So I went along, and to be honest, I walked away from that Reiki healing session. What the fuck was that? I remember her talking a lot of strange things and going, and then he kept at me, and God bless him for doing it. He kept at me, and then he's telling me about going and doing Reiki 1, because basically he said, well, you'll be able to help heal yourself through the Reiki energy and stuff. And at that stage, I was interested in anything that could help me heal myself and things. So I ended up doing Reiki 1, not having no idea what I was getting myself into. But wow, that was, I remember, I think it was after about my third attunement, I'd come out, and the teacher, I was out in the corridor, and we were doing it at her house in Truro, lovely lady, Maggie DeHaan. And she goes, "Who are you?" And I'm sitting there, "What do you mean, who am I?" She goes, "Go and have a look in the mirror." And I looked in the mirror, and I looked 10 years younger at least. You know, I was a heavy smoker, heavy drinker, did my share and probably a few other people's shares of drugs. And I used to always have big black eyes, and I used to drink 12 cups of instant coffee a day. And it was like, wow, I honestly looked at least 10 years younger. The black bags had nearly all gone. And in those days, I had 13 piercings. So I had an eyebrow piercing, and I had 6 piercings in each ear. And all my piercings changed colour. And 10 days after doing Reiki 1, I stopped smoking after being a heavy smoker. Well, I was a heavy smoker longer than I was a heavy drinker. I started smoking at 13, pinching them off my dad and whoever else I could pinch them from. And just everything changed after doing Reiki 1. Now, I'm not saying, and as I've learned, as I said earlier in the show, Reiki's only one tiny part of what I've learned and where I'm still learning and growing with. But that was just so huge for me. And it needed to be, because I was in such a negative life space. After being a butcher slaughterman for 4.5 years, 10.5 years in the army, and what I experienced in Cambodia for 10 months, and then working in the wine industry, and just I was living a horrible life. Not a horrible life, but it felt horrible. So 10 days after Reiki 1, I stopped smoking, and I didn't smoke it for like 17 years. Different situations changed different things, and I started smoking again in Spain when I was walking my second Camino. But that was just so profound. Was the Reiki 1? That was huge. And like I said, I've gone on to do many different things, modalities, and learn different things and ways of thinking. And even, I love Hinduism. I love the arti with the flame and doing the Abhishekam and different things. I just love the ceremony. I love being in a temple, singing and chanting, because it's joyous. And that's why I love living on the Hare Krishna farm. Because in the temple, they sang with love, they sang with joy. And you'd have devotees running and skipping and dancing up the temple and up and down. And I used to join in when I felt in the mood. But yeah, sorry, I went off a bit track again. But yeah, did I answer the question?
You sure did.
I am tired, but I'm not apologising.
No, you did very well. You did very well. Thank you for that question, Amanda. That was brilliant.
Thanks, Amanda.
Didn't ask that question at the beginning. So for our last little tasty question, if you could sit next to any person on a park bench for the afternoon and it was perfect conditions, not too hot, not too cold, maybe a very mild breeze, but nothing unpleasant, who would that be and why?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm starting to cry. Not apologising, I'm just starting to cry. Yeah, because he was such a great man. And I didn't understand or appreciate what a great man he was. Because in my younger days, I was a bit of a ratbag. And Dad always worked. And then, I left home at 15 and then joined the army at 20. And so I really never really got to know him. And it's only been basically since I started my spiritual path and started reconnecting with my oldest brother and talking with him and hearing stories of, he got to like, like anyone, you know, Dad wasn't perfect, but I just never got to know him. And then just learning about him from my brother and his love for animals, you know, that's one thing that's important to me, is caring and loving of animals. And that's why I had so much hate, anger in my heart towards myself and guilt, from when I was a butcher, slaughtered them and killed the animals. Yeah. And even now, reflecting back and looking back on what I remember of my dad was, yeah, you know, his care for the animals and his love for the animals. And yeah, I mean, it was a different time back then, different time. And I'll split my time up from my dad to my younger self just to reassure him, because I had a very lonely childhood, which led to me being a bit of a rat bag and not having, I guess, that fatherly figure guiding me and loving me. And again, I don't blame my dad for that, because, you know, he worked hard. He worked hard for his family. He, you know, and yeah. So anyway, so would be my inner child, my little child, and just tell him that, you know, he's loved and everything will be okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So you weren't supposed to make me cry. not on live, not on live.
There's lots of love for you in the chat, just surrounding you around that. And,
thank you all. I honestly didn't know that was going to be so powerful.
Yeah.
Huh? Cool. In fact, sorry, can I just clarify? This is what's come through for me now. I would like to be, not me now, I'd like to be that little boy with my dad.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Lorene, for making me cry again. No. I cry, and don't get me wrong, I love to cry. Crying is so cleansing and healing, and I just prefer to do it on my own.
Yeah. It is handy when you do it with someone else right there, though. As we witnessed earlier today.
Yeah. That was cool.
That's a story for another time, my beautiful friends. But yes, along with that, your dad is, of course, because you're speaking about him, he's right here with you. And the message that I was hearing was, you know, it's okay, son. I know. And yeah, he's a special man. He's got a very, big heart. Oh, such a big heart. It's like, oh, you know. So thank you for allowing him to come through on this chat with us, because it's like there's something more for you and I to explore later. When we're not being watched by many people.
Yeah.
But hi, who was it? Caroline. Hi, Caroline. Thank you for joining us today. So I'd like to know, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we sort of tap into what offerings you've got coming up? Is there anything else you'd really like to just share with the audience today, that's something that maybe is on your heart that
I've been doing this spiritual life a long time, and I still don't get it. I thought I was going to do this. So what I'd just like to add to that is the clarification that I've been getting. And again, as I said, I haven't been doing the healing work for nearly 2 years because I shut myself off. I closed my heart chakra down. because of everything that was going on. But I'm back. And I'm ready to work. And again, the healing I did today on this guy was one of the most powerful healings I've ever done, and even surprised myself, not in a badly egoic way, but it just reaffirmed what I'm here to do. And I guess, like everyone else, I've doubted it. Things haven't worked out that I thought they would. I haven't got this massive Reiki business or whatever going, but that's not me. So I guess the message I just want to say and put it out to the universe and everyone is I'm ready, and I'll continue to work on myself, continue to learn and grow my light so I can be a better healer and a better teacher and everything else. But I'm ready to go. I'm here. I know why I'm here. And I've known why I'm here for a long time, but I've just never really had that clarification that because of other things going on in my life. But yeah, ready to rock and roll and do the work.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. So what? How can people, like, right on the bottom of the screen now, we've got that they can find you via Facebook of Sound of the Kun, or how else is best to get in touch with you?
Or my personal page, which is just under my name, Matthew Kuhn. Or if you can email me at soundofthe.kun@gmail.com. I'd prefer people to do that than ring me direct. So if you can PM me through Facebook on my Sound of the Kun Facebook page or my personal page, and I'm happy to then ring you back and contact you and answer any questions, or if you want to book in for healing. Do we want to? I won't. The only reason I don't like giving my phone number out directly is because since I went back to Telstra, the amount of spam calls you get, you pick up the phone and there's someone gibbering in Chinese, and it's like, huh? No, but anyway. So if you can contact me via email or through the social media, message me. I am on Instagram. I think it's at Sound of the Kun as well. So you can contact me through those mediums, and give me your phone number or whatever, and I'm happy to call you back and discuss anything, or email you back or whatever. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's the best way to contact.
You travel to people, don't you?
Yes. Again, part of what I've felt and grown over the years was, for me, I didn't want to start a business where I had a room or hired a room, because for me that was then going to put pressure on. Then I have to have so many clients. I got to pay the rent, to pay this, to pay this. I don't like doing that. I gave up working full time in 2016 to walk the first Camino, so I don't want to go back doing that. And that's what it would be. It'd be that pressure of having to work. If I've got to live in my van for a week and live off 2-minute noodles for a week, so be it. So I offer a mobile service for my healing work, including doing sound bars and meditations and workshops. I used to hire spaces of many halls, Theosophical Society on South Terrace and different places. And then I found my mindset always coming back to that. I've paid this much for this space. I've got to have so many. And then the focus was always on having numbers and having money. So, and I don't like that too much for me. So by offering a mobile service, so for a massage or reflexology, for those sort of basic modalities, I charge $80 an hour. And that $80 is also inclusive of my travel time and my costs. So I believe that's very fair and very affordable compared to a lot of practitioners who have that pressure, and I get it, who have that pressure of paying rent and other things. And the same with workshops. So I can do sound bars, meditations, workshops. So I like to do these if someone else hires the venue, and then we can work out a cost. But yeah, so it works better for me than that. And I've done many private sessions with families, 10, 12 people in beautiful homes with big lounge rooms. And, as long as I've got room to set up my big Mother Earth drum and a little space for my other instruments and that, people can lie in lounge. And I've had people lie in lounges, armchairs, lie on the floors, or sleeping bags, whatever makes them comfortable. And people obviously aren't comfortable lying down, so they'll sit in the chair or whatever. So that's why I like the mobile service, because then also, if you wanted to treat a loved one who's not mobile, I can come and do some foot reflexo, hand reflex, massage, or do some drumming and healing work. But so I can come to them and do it in their home. So so with the sound bars, meditations, workshops, or just the one-on-one personal healing work, and the shamanic healing work is a bit different. It's still a mobile come-to-you service, but it's $120 a session, because there's a lot more goes into one of my healings, like I did today, than a massage or something else. And I just wanted to put out an offer. I don't know whether I think you were going to ask me anyway about this, but just while I'm talking about it. So for anyone who contacts me, and I don't even care if it's someone that didn't watch, but if someone that watches recommends a friend, I'm happy to do for the connection and promotion also of Lorene's online broadcasting. Is so I like to offer shamanic healing instead of $120 for $100 for everyone who contacts me and mentions this broadcast. And same for the massage. I'm happy to offer for $60 instead of $80 for anyone who mentions this broadcast. So it's a special thing in honouring Lorene for helping me get on here. Because like I said, I've been hiding away for a couple of years. So I'm just starting again to put myself out there and say, universe, people, here I am. If you're drawn to me, my energy, then please contact me. And if you're not, that's fine. We're all drawn to who we're meant to go to. I think that was, yeah.
That's some pretty potent offerings, my friend.
Awesome.
How did it, seriously, whoever chooses that, you will not regret it. I can quite honestly say that the work that Balaji's done on me so far has been just so beautiful and so honouring of me and my space, and it's just been such a potent, it's so gentle, you almost don't realize that it's happening until it's done, and then it's but the effects afterwards are just astounding. It's quite amazing actually to have that. Like I've said, had some pretty different and intense kinds of healings over the years, and certainly Balaji's are right up there with the top most interesting and potent. And I know that's because he has got so many years experience behind him, and different modalities and different cultures behind him as well, which is beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Alrighty. Well, what have you got coming up? I think you've got a fair or something coming up soon.
Yeah, the only thing I've got set in stone at the moment is 14th of August, Sunday 14th of August. I'll be at the Queen of Wands Psychic Fair at Blackwood, offering 30 and 60-minute drum / Reiki / sound healings, which are basically a mini version of my shamanic healings, but obviously toned down for a smaller period of time. And I will be, at this stage, I'll be continuing to do those markets, and I think in October we've got another market, and I've got some lovely house sitting opportunities coming up where I get to look at.
Lucky.
And what I love about the house sitting opportunities I've been getting is it's a good break for me, who's someone, anyway, people that know my recent history. So it's been good for me to have Wi-Fi, a bed to sleep in, and animals to look after. And, and I'll just add,
the house receives some happy sound healing at the same time. So you go away, and when you come back, your house will feel completely different because it's had some yummy sound healing in the meantime. What an amazing gift for that home and the land, and the space around that home as well. So cool.
Yeah, and that's true because I do a lot of chanting and drumming and stuff. Yeah.
Alrighty, my beautiful friends, thank you so much for coming and playing and chatting with us today. Super, super grateful for Balaji, and if you wish to contact him, all the ways of contacting Matthew is in the show notes so that you can grab a hold of his details and reach out to him if you wish to have a healing, a shamanic healing, a reflexology massage, all of the bits and bobs, obviously a sound healing. And he's an incredible healer. I'm so grateful for you coming on and sharing your magic with us today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Next week on Tasty Tuesdays, we have the incredible, one of my dearest friends, Karen Lee, is going to be gracing us with her presence next week. I'm super duper excited about that one. And she is, her main strength is certainly in theta healing, but she's done many other modalities as well. I have such incredible friends with such amazing talents, and I'm so happy to play with them all. So thank you so much all for watching. Have a beautiful night, everybody. Be bold, be brave, be you, my amazing, beautiful friends. And until next time, be tasty out there. Mwah.
Thank you all.